the Leons, please.
Yeah. Okay, I'll just say anyway. In the unemployment levels in the capital are rising, and especially in places like Newham, and you keep saying that there's loads of jobs being created by the Legacy and by the Olympic Park, but as they are rising, I don't see any people getting jobs, so what's going on with that?
Have you heard of the Workplace in Stratford? So the Workplace work closely with the council, and one thing I know, because I got my job through the Workplace, they have a job scheme which has come back to the council, and they heavily target young people, I think between the ages of 16 and 25. So I would definitely take a visit to, it's in Stratford, you all know where Stratford is, because we're there, but you know, by the, is it by the library, I think? It's near the library, so yeah, I would visit there and see what opportunities are available.
Anybody else? I didn't really answer the question I asked, but it just said how to get the opportunities. I want to know what the opportunities are for the young people, because I know there's people that go to my school that I know they won't go out there to that place. What measures you put in placing to make people want to go to this place instead of just saying it's there, because that doesn't really do anything?
I've pretty much stayed quiet up until now, but you've now raised a point which I'll address. Nobody owes you anything, and the quicker you get that message, the better. So, and you know, the question is, well, what are you doing to make them? Nobody needs to make you go and get work. If you don't get work, you will feel the consequences later on down the line of not getting work. My view is a bit different. If you want something bad enough, you'll find a way. If you don't, you'll find an excuse. So what I say to young people is, get serious about the business of life as soon as possible so that you position yourself better. Let's talk about jobs for a second since it's come up. Yeah, there are not as many jobs as there used to be before. There are not as many opportunities as there used to be before. But there are still people out there that are finding work. Also, all you have to do is Google to find people that are doing well, people that are successful. And one thing you can do is approach them, contact them, call them and say, listen, I don't need any money from you, but is it okay if you mentor me, if I ask you questions on a regular basis? If there are any opportunities for me to work with you, would that be okay? And you'd be shocked at the doors that can open for you because of doing that. One thing we see too often is people wanting to sit on their couch and work coming to them. One of the things I have an issue with the government is paying young people, for example, to go to school. I don't think you should get any money for going to school. And I don't think if you're able to work and there are some jobs out there, I don't think anybody should encourage you to do what you should do for yourself. So for those that want it, I think there are opportunities out there. Should somebody come and put a little carrot in front of you to say, come on, come on, come and look for money, come and look for work, come and look for opportunities, personally, I don't agree with that. So.
Sorry, while I do agree with a lot of what you're saying, the whole carrot or stick thing, that if you don't like the carrot, you're pretty much going to end up with the stick. And while I really do agree with the whole people aren't bothered to get out of the couch thing, I think it's slightly wrong to say that there aren't we had this whole counterculture. It was a subculture on the internet that went around saying young people had this entire sense of entitlement. But the weird thing was that growing up, you have this whole idea where people say to you, you're not allowed to, that being a fry cook at McDonald's, for example, or something like that, that's, if you get there, you're going to fail. You should work hard because then you can go to college, then you can go to uni, then you'll be able to go and get a good, then you'll be able to go and get a good job. And that's the whole idea that sure, we take that with us and we go off and we work really hard. I do, my friends do, etc., and stuff like that, where we take the carrot. We actually do take the carrot. We don't want the stick. We hate the stick. But the whole idea was that eventually you get to a point where you realize, hang on, I'm working hard now. I'm working for my GCSEs. I'm working for my A-levels, but I'm stuck at one step. and now I have to pay £9,000, stuff that I won't be able to have. There's no way that, for example, I'm in year 11, so I have to look for colleges which will lead me on to university, right? And anecdotal, but I was looking at for universities, and the Russell Group universities will charge £9,000. Even places like UEL charge £9,000. And it's ridiculous because if I wanted to do a 5-year course or something like that, they'd make me pay £45,000 after I've left the door. And I won't have that. I get the whole student loans, you want them to pay it back and stuff, but people do have lives. They do have stuff they want to buy. For example, I'd really like a massage chair, but I'll never end up with that if I have to. That's just a small story. But the whole idea is that we have this whole sense. I think it's wrong that adults and older people have this whole thing where they believe that young people that we believe that we're entitled to something, where most of us really don't. I'm talking about the people who. I'm talking about the people like me, the people, my friends. They're all here. They're sadly not that many. We're not. You adults, and I say this in the nicest way I can. It's the whole. I'm not trying to stereotype you or pigeonhole you. Please don't assume that. I like all of you. You see this image of the drug dealing, whole couch laying with the guys who don't want to get up on a Saturday morning to go to work and stuff, and they do exist. I'm not denying that. God, I know some of them. They're horrible people. But when all that exists, there are other people out there. There's people who want to go out. We want to be able to do voluntary work, like Miss said, and stuff like that. It's just that you can't assume that all of us are like that. I'm not saying you guys are, it's just that maybe not you guys, but there are people out there. And that's, I think, the perception that people like the Lightup Foundation and stuff are trying to change. While, yes, there's the whole create an opportunity, they'll go for it. There's also the create an opportunity, who cares, they're not going to do anything anyway. That group stopped existing, I think, in 2008, when we started, actually no, 2009, it took us a year to kick in. The whole, okay, now we're kind of screwed for our futures, it's now £9,000 a year, etc. That group kind of died. Now we're all pretty much waiting to say, please let us get into uni cheaply.
Since the point's been raised, I mean, I should say that I think the student loans are absolutely iniquitous, and I think the Liberal Democrats have made a massive political mistake in supporting the increase in student loans, and they are being punished for it in the polls and will undoubtedly be punished for it in the future. I mean, for a political leader to say, under no circumstances will I ever vote for an increase in student fees, and then as soon as he gets into government, change his mind and do exactly what he said he wouldn't do, is completely wrong. And the level of student fees at the moment is just too high. When fees were first introduced, they were introduced on the argument that we've got to increase access to higher education. They're now at a level where they're reducing access to higher education, so they're completely counterproductive. That aside, I'd just like to say that I think the most important thing is that you go for your dream, whatever that dream is. I mean, I've got 3 girls, and my youngest daughter is dyslexic. She's never done well at school, but her dream was to be an actress. And she spent some time just doing some shop work in Harrods and spraying people with perfume, which she absolutely hated. But at the same time, she was getting some chance to go for some jobs. And she went and spent 5 weeks in Italy and loved it, earning very little money, but nevertheless she went and did it. And she's now doing a year in Germany where she's just going around German schools doing acting and they're paying all her living expenses and giving her about £7,000 a year, but she loves it and she just loves doing acting. And she's pursuing a dream, and that's what I've always encouraged her to do, right from the word go. Blow it. If she's not good at English, she's not good at maths, who cares? Let her pursue her dream. And that's what I would encourage you all to do.
Thank you very much.
I was just going to say something. I went to university in Nigeria, and I still remember this particular story. There's this guy who he came in. He was looking to come into my university. At the time, my university was a fairly expensive university, and I remembered he was really keen to get in. He really wanted to get in, and he actually was offered admission. But I just noticed that the next session he wasn't about. So a while later, I bumped into him. I saw him as like, I thought you did get the admission. He said he did. I was like, why didn't you come? He said, well, I couldn't afford it. Before then, I had never come across anyone who just who didn't go to university because they couldn't afford it. And I must say, that was a very, very difficult experience for me. I just remember looking at that thinking he wanted to do it, but it didn't happen for him because he couldn't afford it. Now that is a reality, that's our reality. It's not a pleasant place to be. I acknowledge that and I do accept that. But one thing I will still say to us as individuals is sometimes, you know, and this is not, I'm not excusing this, please understand that. But what I will say is sometimes as individuals, life does deal us a bad hand. The challenge I do have here is, and this is not about young or old people, this is a lot of people, is you've just got to, this is the situation, it's not so pleasant, but this is my context, this is my reality. How can I make the most of this situation? I do believe in spite of whatever life throws you, there's still something you can do to still make the most of whatever situation you find yourself. And I think that's one thing I'd like to challenge us. While acknowledging it's a very frustrating situation, I wouldn't want to be in a situation where I'm looking forward to going into uni and then a year before that, they just hike up the fees and that's my dream taken away. But you know what? I wouldn't want to believe that, you know, okay, maybe there's an aspiration to go to university, but I still do believe that there's still aspirations. Yes, you can still make that happen. And even beyond that, you can still dream. I think that's the bottom line is don't let anybody steal your dream. That is the bottom line, and you can still go for something and make it happen for yourself.